Yeah.
Okay, today I'm going to be sharing you about walking. You know, some of us hate walking and we just don't like it. Well, for me, I love to walk. I love to walk everywhere, to school, to the store, to Walmart, everything. And some of you might be thinking, man, this guy's crazy. Who walks? I'd rather take my car, go on my bike, go on my skateboard, or just cruise around and everything. Well, me, I like to walk anywhere. And just put my iPod on and just start walking anywhere I want. But at the same time, you know, I have family members that just hate walking. They'd rather go on their cars and walk. And just drive over there instead of walking. Even though McDonald's or Kmart is just down the street, just 5 minutes away. They just hate it. And I try to encourage them, you know, just walk over there. It doesn't hurt. It saves you gas. It means the benefit of yourself. It helps you, you know, keep yourself in shape. For example, Disneyland had something called the Walkathon in 2010, and this event for parents and children, they had to brush walk, meaning that's a scientific word for power walking through the whole park. First place would get $200, and a 1-year pass for the whole family. And quote by Susan Haywood said, "People should not ignore walking because it's good for your health and a benefit of yourself," like I said. And also, in a recent study in 2011, Oregon State University in physical exercise said walking 30 to 60 minutes a day, 5 times a week could reduce cancer and type 2 diabetes and even depression. And that's pretty good. And for example, my family are pretty obese, and I encourage them. I always encourage it, and I always brag about it. You know, I think we should go on walks to the beach or on Hector Persuasive in San Diego Canyon and just walk and just talk. And this weekend we went and we had a great time. We walked, we conversated, and we spent at least an hour walking up the trails or even jogging. And it was fun. I liked it a lot. And also, a former obesity and NBA carries in 2012, Joe Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks professional basketball player said that every family should go for a walk at the beach, parks, and even take a family trip. Joe Johnson is a famous basketball player, and he's really, really good with everything. And also, I take his advice because I did it last week, and I encourage my family to go for walks, trips, anywhere. So I hope you guys take the time to walk around the street or to school or anything, or a trail. So thank you for listening.
All right, Lindsay, what did you think?
I think it was pretty good. You had examples on how you would walk a lot, and you would encourage your family. I mean, how you went this past weekend to walk an hour and talk. You had good information from the researches you had. I think you should elaborate more on how it benefits you and everybody else. But overall, it's pretty good.
All right, Hector, you just start with the topic. I think you need to start with your own personal enthusiasm for the subject and then transition to the topic. It's going to be a lot more interesting that way, and I think that when you just tell us what the topic is and then go into your personal experience, it's backwards. Build up some anticipation of the speech. There's no setup of what the supporting structure is going to be in the body of the speech. I know generally what your purpose statement is. You're trying to encourage us to walk, and I think that that's a pretty reasonable statement for your persuasive presentation to be making, but there still needs to be some structure that you're going to follow, and I didn't hear any preview, and in the body of the speech I didn't really see much of a structure either. It just seemed like you had some random information that you're presenting, and some of it is pretty good information. I think you've got a good start on developing an argument for walking here. But everybody is going to be thinking about all the alternative exercises that they might be doing. Well, why do I need to walk when I go to the gym and work out on a regular basis? Or why do I need to walk? I already walk. I walk from the car to where my classroom is, or I have to walk from the garage to where the car happens to be parked, or I have to walk out to the garage. I mean, why? How much walking is necessary? How big a difference is it going to make? I like the personal experience that you use, and I appreciate the fact that you're talking about this from a personal perspective, because that's something that makes the speech work a little bit better as a consequence. But you really need to develop a stronger argument for walking as an exercise and the need for that. Look, there's plenty of stuff that is out there that talks about how people don't get enough exercise, that people sometimes see exercise as something that they can't do because they're either not in good enough health, or they're worried that it's going to be an exertion that's problematic for them, or it's just too hard to get involved in those kinds of things. And this is exactly the kind of thing that walking addresses. And so you need to create some visualizations and then show us how walking is a solution to those particular problems. And it doesn't really gel very well after the first couple of things that you say. On the presentation, I think you've got pretty good vocal variety when you're speaking to us. Your eye contact's a little inconsistent, but like I said, you compensate a bit because I think you do have some energy in your voice and you do feel a little bit animated. Your gestures, I didn't notice anything that was particularly problematic, but I also didn't feel like you were as engaged in it as you could be. I think it could be stronger. It's 3 minutes and 10 seconds, which means that it's less than a third of the time that you had available for you, and so clearly there's a lack of development of content here. This just needs more, and it needs to be more effective at arriving at an emotional appeal as well. Okay, thank you.